Hi and welcome to I'm an Entrepreneur TV, the first online magazine show for entrepreneurs. My name is Baiju Solanki, and along with David McDonald of Silver Island TV are the founders of I'm an Entrepreneur TV. Now, the aim of this show is to be the show for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. More and more people are moving away from traditional employment and starting their own businesses. Now, this show aims to bring you the most up-to-date news on how you can start, grow and expand your business. What we aim to bring you over the next coming months is news on all things entrepreneurial, funding, new companies, startup, events, anything to do with entrepreneurship. Now, technology is never far away, and there are new apps, new software being released every day to help you grow your business. And we will have resident experts on hand to give you what's hot and what's not in the world of entrepreneurship. Now, there is so much out there. How do you know who to listen to? Well, we will look around the world for the best of the best and look for experts making the difference in the world of entrepreneurship today. Now, this show is about you, and we want to hear from you. So send in your tweets. You'll see the hashtag at the bottom of your screen, hashtag EntTv. And any questions, we've got Tim Field coming on talking about content marketing later on. We've got news around entrepreneurship. So any tweets, any questions, any comments about the show, please tweet in using that hashtag, and we can and see what you've got to say. Right, as the regular feature, we've got news around entrepreneurship. So today, unfortunately, Josie's away. So you've got me. So here's the news around entrepreneurship today. So last week we spoke about the importance of branding. So we're starting this week's news roundup with a story about the two of the biggest brands in the world, Apple and Google. Brand consultancy firm Interbrand unveiled its 15th annual list of the top 100 most valuable brands. Top of the list was Apple, with a brand value of $119 billion, followed by Google, whose brand value tallied $107 billion. Now, this is the first time that any brand had topped $100 billion value in history. Now, how many of you use WhatsApp? Well, luxury and premium brands such as Cartier, Armani, Diesel are now using WhatsApp to reach out to their consumers in India. Reliance brands, which retails labels like Diesel, are among marketeers using WhatsApp to maintain a one-to-one relationship with rich clients by sharing pictures, videos, brands, and other promotional materials regularly. Now, head of business at Reliance brand said cash-rich, time-poor customers find it convenient to go through the latest stock and also block book items for home delivery or to be picked up in stores. They say the conversion rate using WhatsApp is as high as 80%. Nordic Candy, also based in India, sells candies for edible gold and silver. And they say that nearly 7 out of 10 inquiries that come to them come through WhatsApp. And they convert this business. They say, we find this way of communicating easy for business as we're able to send price lists, images, products, and pre and post shipping information. The company has a dedicated person to reply on WhatsApp for messages from its clients. And it says its maximum inquiries come from Sundays. So for those out there who are thinking, how do I communicate with my customers? WhatsApp's an opportunity there when you think get in front of customers. Now, how many of you use Snapchat? Well, Snapchat now is going to get ads. Evil Spiegel, the owner of Snapchat, said that untargeted ads are coming to the app very soon. The ads, which will be the first source of revenue for the 3-year-old company, won't be targeted to individual users. Users should expect them soon, though, in the Snapchat Stories feature. Snapchat is famous for its photos and messages that self-destruct in 10 seconds or less, but stories allow users to feature longer series of videos and pictures that stay up to 24 hours. And that's the news on I'm an Entrepreneur TV this week. So, that's the news this week. So, listen, if you've got information around, takeovers or news on people applying for funding or anything, please let us know. We want to bring you the most up-to-date news available around entrepreneurship. And we've got a whole team of people looking at news. So we'll try and give you what's relevant for yourself. Right, so next we've got our expert insight, and we have Tim Field. Tim Field is the founding member and managing director of content creation company Jibber Jabber. Now, Tim has been involved in bringing some of the largest brands in the digital area, helping them form their own content marketing strategies. Now, we have Tim here today talking about Jibber Jabber and content marketing. So hi Tim, how you doing?
Good to see you.
Great, fantastic. You've come a long way, haven't you?
I've come from the other side of London. That's
Other side of London, near Heathrow.
Yeah.
Near Heathrow, great. Now we're going to talk about content marketing today. So I'm sure a lot of people heard of content marketing and sort of an idea, but from your perspective, what is content marketing?
Well, a very generic sort of description. It's stuff that puts you in a good light with potential customers. So and content is a very wide area as well. It's everything from audio to video to the way you hold yourself effectively as well. So it's things that's out there that affects how people interpret your brand.
Right. Okay. So why is it so important nowadays? What's the content marketing is fairly recent buzz phrase.
I think it's a recent buzz phrase, particularly with the online, the internet coming along. It's always been important, but I think we live in a generation where branding's important and people's first opinions of you and when they first come across you, and that's where the internet is important to content marketing, because most people, if they come across a name of a business or a person, the first thing they'll do is go to Google or go to another search engine and look you up. Right. And what you want to be doing is controlling your content and the way that's marketed, and making sure that those first bits of content that they find about you are, one, the message you want to put across, so that it puts you in a good light, but also it's stuff that you're pushing out your messages that you want people to find out about you. So maybe some sales messages, but maybe bits about the history of your company. But that could be your website, that could be your social media profiles, but that could also be adverts or something. Even stuff that you create offline is part of your content marketing strategy. So adverts that are on buses or in magazines or even your business card. And don't think that just because you've created it to be offline and in a more traditional medium, that people aren't going to scan it in, and that there are things that you've created as a physical object that people will create as a digital object, and it can appear on the internet as well, and that become part of your online content management.
Right. So content marketing has been around for a long time. We use content marketing because of the internet and social media, but it's been around a long time.
Yeah, it's nothing new, but then that's the internet really. That's the social media. It's not anything that we weren't doing before, but we've now got different tools of making that happen, those conversations happen, and the internet has just given us a different set of tools. So it's the same, maybe social skills that you need and business skills that you need. But content management is more important in the digital era.
Okay, so why is it all of a sudden really sort of taken a life of its own? Why is everybody talking about content marketing? What's so great about it? And what is so great about it? We talk about return on investment later, but why is it so great?
I think the important thing is that almost everybody could become a media mogul. So you can control your brand. So if you're an entrepreneur, most entrepreneurs are maybe working on their own, or maybe with a small group of people. But you can become a big business online, and you can have profiles across various platforms. You can be churning out content on a daily basis, 2, 3 or 4 posts. Very quickly, you can use various tools that are available for free on the internet and create this content. And then you can use scheduling tools so that you can send that out at the right time, so you don't have to be sat on your computer or on your smartphone every moment of your life.
Okay. Now we're going to talk about strategy later on, because we're creating content, but you want to have a strategy to put it out there. Can you give us examples that maybe big brands have used that use content in a good way to get their message across? Yeah,
of course. I mean, big brands they're going to be big on content marketing because they've got the big budget. So they've got big teams. They've got lots of people working and coming up with ideas. That doesn't mean that a small entrepreneur can't do the same sort of thing. You just need to be a bit cleverer. But everybody will be aware of Coca-Cola. They'll come across with a big campaign. Every 3 months they'll probably have a new campaign engaging people. A great example of content marketing is the Coca-Cola bottles with people's names on. I mean, how many times have you seen someone tweeting a picture because their best mate or something they've got?
Well, I'll tell you something for nothing. My name's not on there. I need to work that one out. Well, anyway, that's a different story.
I did manage to find one with my name on there the other day, but I was sat having lunch on my own, so it didn't really work that way.
Right, okay.
But Coca-Cola are a great example of using content management. So things that people want to share with their friends, and that's a great way of then making other people aware of your brand that you might not have reached normally. You might be appearing on little Freddie's grandma's timeline, and she might never consider Coca-Cola before, but with content marketing, you can appear on her timeline.
Because she can connect with that.
She can connect and she can find it, and you're spreading your message a bit further. And as long as you've got your branding on there, people know that it's from you.
Okay, so why is content marketing better than traditional forms of push marketing? What does it do that the other push marketing didn't do?
It's almost subconscious. You can be getting into people's brains without them realising, and people don't like to be fed messages anymore. They like to think that they're smarter than that. Actually, mate, we're all the same. We over time, a drip feed will be a great way of getting through to people, and that's why we understand branding. It's why we will spot a colour. The tale I always tell is when my kids were growing up, we play spot the supermarket truck as you're going down the road, down the motorway. They'll know what green supermarket is, what the orange supermarket is, and the blue supermarket. The younger generation do get branding and those sort of things a lot quicker. And content marketing is a great way of controlling all of that and controlling those messages and making sure that your brand's at the forefront of everybody's minds.
Okay, so can you give us an example of, because sometimes content doesn't have to be related to the thing, the product. It can,
I mean, content marketing is all about making stuff that people are going to engage with. So creating the conversation is one of our catchlines at Jibber Jabber. Right. You want to create a conversation so that people are talking about you or what you've done, and that doesn't have to need to be relevant to the services or the business products that you're offering. It can just be something that's witty. Or maybe different. Right. So an example I always give on Twitter, there's an online florist called Arena Flowers.
Right.
Now they've employed a professional comedian effectively to write their tweets for them, which means that the majority of their tweets, and they do lots of tweets throughout the day, nothing to do with buying online flowers or sending flowers to your missus or something like that. They're just all about having a conversation with the people that are out there that are following them. And they've got a great following. But they've also found that by engaging and creating that conversation and building conversations and relationships with people and building that trust and authority with them means that they've been able to boost their online sales of flowers. So they're different from there's plenty of competitors out there selling online flowers, but they're different because they're sending out their content management in a slightly different way.
So what I'm getting from this is content marketing is about creating a conversation that then creates engagement. Is that what you're...
it's creating the conversation that creates the engagement, but what you're trying to build that trust. So you'll become like the wise old owl, the best friend that people like recommendations from other people, or they like to be part of the group, and the fear of missing out is something that's often quoted. So you want to become someone that they trust and that they will build conversations with on a daily basis, whether that's about sales or whether that's just about other things that people would normally discuss in maybe the playground or in the pub.
So if the end goal is about creating conversation, if there's people, does it work for all industries? We've got the traditional accountants, solicitors and those sort of areas, as opposed to the creative industries that this new world of entrepreneurship pops up. Is it worth for all industries, content marketing?
I think it's probably even more important for those traditional agencies or professions particularly to get involved in content marketing now, because the old methods are dying out and people are looking for to do business or maybe create that first link via different methods, and you need to be in those channels to be able to connect with those people. I used to be a solicitor myself, and one of the reasons that I've moved back out into the journalism side of things because the profession was very slow to catch on to the way that the world was changing. There are various firms that are out there now that are doing things very differently, and you'll see that they're actually picking up, particularly on the consumer side of things, they're doing very well because they've learned to engage with the people that they want to do business with. So
would you say then if businesses out there who aren't embracing what content marketing could do for them, especially the traditional ones, they will see a hit in their business in the next years?
Content marketing, as we'll come on to in another part of the show, I'm sure, is about engaging with people that you want to do business with, and that means being in the right channels. That means being in the right place. That means doing things that they're going to want to talk about or are going to be of interest to them. And if you're just sending out the standard emails or maybe an advert in the press every week, I mean, how many people actually go out and buy their local paper now? I used to write local match reports for the local football clubs, and I'd buy the paper. Even now, I'll probably go online and I'll read that match report rather than go out and buy the paper. So if you're a traditional profession, maybe with your standard advert, you've had that for 20 odd years in the paper, that might not be reaching the same audience that it was 10, 15 years ago. And actually you could be doing a lot smarter, things that are a lot more effective and probably much cheaper with the internet. And also building a package of content that you can be rolling out to people so that they understand what you're all about.
Right. I know we're going to talk about strategy later on, but how do people create content? Do they literally sit there and what do you do? Is it blogs? Is it pictures? How do you create content?
Well, content really is everything. It is your blogs, your words. It can be your emails. It can be those letters that you use to send out cold call letters. They still work. We just need to make sure that it's all part of a bundle of content that you're creating and that's associated with your brand. So we'll come on and talk about branding, but it can be audio. It can be podcasts. We work a lot in the podcast field working with clients. It's a way of engaging with people in a different way. People concentrate on audio a lot more than they would on written word because you have to pay attention. Video is a massive thing as we've found, but also design. An example I always use is Apple. Anything you see from Apple has always got lots of white space. So that could be an email that you'll get from a text sheet, even their boxes. It's lots and lots of white space. But you see that white space, that's an Apple product. And that's all about the content marketing and the way that people have created content that all fits around that same look, feel, and design. And that's all part of your branding and how you can get your message across.
And I would assume that creating content also positions you in the consumer's brain in a certain way. So, because there's not, everybody does a lot of things. So if you're an accountant, there's another accountant. If you're a florist, there's another florist. So content allows you to elevate your position?
Content allows you to stand out. So if you've got the quality content that people want to share, then suddenly you're above your competitor that's down the road because you've seen, more eyeballs have seen what you've created. And it's all about being clever, which doesn't necessarily mean that you need to spend a large amount of money because there are lots of free tools out there. There's things like Canva, where you can create some images and you can create some words over the top. It's very easy to share. 10 minutes of your day.
I use an iPhone app called WordSwag, and you can create little graphics with sort of the keep calm type thing, but loads of content. That's a good one that I use as well to create images for blog posts or.
But that's also a great way of keeping on top of your content marketing. Is maybe I tend to spend 15 minutes every evening looking for particular articles, maybe to share that are from third parties, so maybe some decent websites, that other magazines or something that might have created something, or some videos on YouTube, what's trending on YouTube or something like that. Or you can create these small pictures, and then you can schedule those in something like Hootsuite, Buffer app. I use a lot. Clout that's got a tool where you can share. You can set these up so that they'll go out the following day, and it looks like you're busy on social media or even traditionally. You can send out emails. You can use various email tools so that you can send out an email at the start of the day and maybe another follow-up email at the back end of the day. It's being smart, and we'll get to that in the second part on strategy. But there are plenty of free tools and easy-to-use tools out there that anybody can pick up and start using.
That's it. Now, we're going to talk about strategy in the second part of the interview, but one thing we want to mention that's been really, if you look at the last year, even 6 months, infographics. Infographics is a great tool. It's got a visual element to it, but it gives good expert information, authority to position yourself where you are.
An infographic is a great way of reusing information that you've already given the customer. Right. So you may well have stuck it up on your website and said 5 out of 5 review here. Well, you can create that as a visual, and suddenly visuals have a lot more hard-hitting impact with the consumer, because they'll remember an image a lot more than words. Or you can use an image and you can use a couple of few words that were used in that phrase, and you can get the message across and get that shared, because you can send them an email or you can direct them to the website, but actually you want them to share that with their friends and family. And if you create a little infographic, you've got more chance of that being shared.
That's it. And people are going to share that really well, so that's great. Some great information there about what content marketing is and why we should use it. That's fantastic. Now, the second part of the interview, we're going to talk about the five tips It's like the 10, Jack, Queen, King, and Ace.
It's the royal flush of
the royal flush, flush of content marketing strategy. So we're going to talk about that in a second part of the interview. So thanks very much, Tim. Thank you very much. That's great. Thanks to Tim, and we're going to see you in a moment. Don't go away. Don't go away. Don't go away. Don't go. All right. So yeah, that's great. Thank you very much. So thank you, Tim. You're trying to rush off there quickly, get a cup of tea. But that's Tim there, Tim Fuel from Jibber Jabber. So the second part of the interview is going to talk about, as I say, the royal flush of content marketing and 5 tips to create your strategy, right? Because it's all very well creating content, but if you haven't got a strategy to put that content out there, it can be a lot of work for not much return. Right, now you've probably heard me mention about my event, Wanna Be an Entrepreneur. That's the next one's going to be in January the 16th. But the first event we ran back in April. Now, one of the speakers there was Daniel Priestley. Daniel Priestley, the co-founder for EntTv and also the author of Key Person of Influence. And he gave a talk there to the audience around what the world of entrepreneurship is today and his strategy to take advantage of it. So now we have part 1 of that talk, and he talks about why now is a really good time to become an entrepreneur and what's happening in the entrepreneurial space. So here's Daniel Priestley, part 1 of his talk from the Wanna Be event last April. Training entrepreneurs about how to become a key person of influence. Daniel.
It's like Entrepreneur Church or something, isn't it? It's good stuff. It's good fun, and it's good to be here with Thomas Power. Thomas was 7 years ago when I first arrived in the UK. Thomas was the very first person that I met. I arrived in London. I had nothing but a suitcase and a credit card to come in and start a business. And one of the first people I was lucky enough to meet was Thomas. And he explained to me how London works and how England works and what I have to do and how I need to build the business. He explained to me, I don't know if you remember the exact words, but he said, London is like, whose wing are you under? You've got to be under the right person's wing. And I thought, well, that's good. That's right. I was lucky enough to be under Thomas's wing for a while there. And so my background as an entrepreneur, throughout my 20s, I built a couple of different businesses. I right place, right time, right economy, right mentor. And when I was 21, I started a company, and it went up to a multi-million-dollar business. By the time I was 25, we were doing about $10 million worth of sales. And then I got out of that business and I came over to London. I built a couple of different businesses. I had a really tough time in 2009, did some soul searching. What do I really want to do? And in 2010, I decided what I wanted to do was launch an Entrepreneur Growth Accelerator program. And I wanted to bring together brilliant entrepreneurs from around the world. And actually train up thousands of great entrepreneurs worldwide. I wrote a book called Key Person of Influence, An Entrepreneur Revolution, and I launched the Entrepreneur Growth Accelerator called Key Person of Influence. I get to travel around the world and attend different conferences and meet lots of different entrepreneurs and just hear so many ideas and meet people who are doing really well, meet people who are stuck and who want to get unstuck, meet people who are just starting out and all they've got is an idea and some friends and those sorts of things. So I've been able to see that entrepreneur journey for a lot of different people, and I want to share with you some ideas as to how to make that journey easier and how to propel yourself towards what we call that key person of influence role. So I'll explain that today. We live in really, really strange times, really transformational times. Some people think that in 2009 we had a global financial crisis and there was a recession, and that what will happen is that we'll go back the way that we were. And I don't think that that's the case. I actually think what's happened is that since about 2000 to 2015, we're going through a real big shake-up and a fundamental shift and a fundamental change in the way the world does business and the world operates and in the way the whole world is structured. And it's a massive shift, and it's as big as what the Industrial Revolution was to the agricultural age. So the agricultural age meant that you had a lot of people who worked in small businesses on farms and those sorts of things. And then rather than being successful by working on a farm, they invented factories, and then you became very successful working in a factory. And it used to be the landowners who were the very wealthy and successful people, and then it was the factory owners who became the wealthy and successful people. And we called that the Industrial Revolution because everyone went to work in industry. And that went for 150 years. And now we're living in a time where the people who are doing really well and having lots of fun and making a great time for themselves are the entrepreneurs. So I wrote my second book called The Entrepreneur Revolution, and it's about how we're moving out of the industrial age and into this entrepreneurial age, where the right thing to be doing is turning up on a Sunday to an entrepreneur event and figuring out how to be an entrepreneur. If we were 150 years ago and we were all farmers, this event would be all about starting a factory or getting into the industrial age and using steam engine and coal and those sorts of things if we were 150 years ago. And today we're learning about entrepreneurship. So what happened is about in the 90s and the 2000s, some really strange business activity happened. And what happened is that all of these companies came along and they invested millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions and billions into building tools that people can use for free. And that's such a strange idea, isn't it? They would actually build stuff and then give it away to the marketplace. So Skype built video conferencing and said everyone can use it for free or almost for free. PayPal said, well, anyone who wants to take money can have a cash register on their website. And Google said, well, anything you want to know, we'll help you find it for free. And Facebook said, any community you want to find and any group of people you want to find, we'll help you find them for free. So all of these types of websites came along to do things for free. And if you look at the types of businesses here and the types of tools, basically what's going on is you've got tools that really big, powerful companies used to be able to use, and they've made those tools freely available for anyone. So it used to be, not that long ago, that only a big, powerful company could put a video campaign together and send it out to a lot of people. And now, I know people who all they've got is a computer in their bedroom, and they've got millions of viewers who see them on YouTube every day. So it's these big, powerful technologies that are available to free to the masses. So if you think about the industrial age, what happened in the industrial age is people built factories, and in order to have a factory and produce anything, you had to have hundreds of people. But what's happening today is the factory has shrunk and shrunk and shrunk and shrunk. It's gotten smaller and smaller and smaller. And today what we have is this thing called a factory in your pocket. A factory in your pocket means that you can run a global business, a global small business, really with that tiny little tool that's in the pocket there. It's got more computing power in that one computer than they had in all of NASA at the time that they launched a person to outer space. So I personally, I've got a business in Singapore and Australia and UK and USA, and I spend most of my time on that device. You can ask my fiance, she tells me I spend way too much time on that device. But so I wake up and I send messages to the guys in Australia early in the morning, and then Singapore and all that sort of stuff. And then late at night, the guys in the US, they're still doing stuff, and I sort of send my thing. I log in and do the banking, and I transfer money around, and we send files to and from each other, and we organise events. And mostly it's all happening here. We've got 30 people on our team worldwide, and we mostly kind of communicate through here and sometimes through laptops. But it's all in that sort of factory in your pocket type behaviour. So this is a very strange time to be living in when you can be doing business this way. You can be doing business from a coffee shop using a smartphone. So it's not all roses and buttercups. It's actually, there's some good news and some bad news to this. So some of the good news is that we've never had so much power at our fingertips. Some of the bad news is this stuff is really disruptive. It disrupts economies, and it disrupts jobs, and it disrupts education systems, and it disrupts governments, and it disrupts countries, and it disrupts the way things have been for many, many years. So it's a very disruptive technology as well, a very powerful technology, which is why we see so many strange things happening these days. Let me talk about some stuff that's relevant to you in your business that is disruptive. So the first thing that's very disruptive is we have something called the free economy. So your business, if you start a business or if you've got a business, is now expected to do lots of things for people for free. So people expect that they should be able to watch videos about you on YouTube for free. And they expect that you should write articles and blogs and put those on the internet for free and spend hours doing that sort of stuff. They expect that you might invest money into software or tools and give those away for free. They expect that you might run events for free, or that you might conduct webinars for free, or that you might do coaching or services for people all for free. So this strange free economy has sprung up, and it's kind of like Google, who were the first ones to just make everything free, and then everyone else went and made everything free. So not only do you have access to all these tools for free, but unfortunately you're also expected to do a lot of things for free, which poses a huge challenge for people. A lot of business owners who had businesses for, over the last few years, they feel uncomfortable with the idea that they should give away so much stuff for free. But it's something we've got to keep in our minds. The next thing that is happening is something massive is going on called technology unemployment. So technology unemployment basically means technology replacing jobs. When I was in high school, all the cool kids, they worked in the CD shops, and now there are no CD shops. And the geeky kids, they worked in the bookshops, and now there are no bookshops. And all the other kids worked at the checkout scanning people's groceries, and now there is no checkout, we scan our own groceries. So this is an example of technology unemployment. And what's happening now and in the future is that this is getting bigger and bigger. Things like voice recognition software is totally changing the game for a lot of industries. Cars that can drive themselves, trucks that can drive themselves, automation systems and softwares, factories that run with almost no people, all of that stuff's become a reality. The ability to have a conversation with a computer is starting off this year and last year, but really in about 4 or 5 years, having a conversation with a computer, especially if you're over the phone, you probably won't know that you're having a conversation with a computer, maybe unless you ask some really tricky questions a few minutes in, but most people will be able to have proper conversations. You might even be able to ask, did you see the football last night? And the thing will say, yeah, score was 2-3, wasn't it, And you won't really know if you're talking to a human or a computer. So a lot of these sorts of things are happening, and it's creating technology unemployment. And it means that for people, there's some good news and bad news. For people who just want to turn up and be a cog in the machine, and people who just want to turn up and have a boring little job, do their job and go home, it's a very threatening time because big companies would rather have systems and technology do that job. But for people who want to become artists and entrepreneurs and passionate individuals and want to create something new and who want to express themselves, this is a great time because all the functional jobs get done by systems and technology, and all the exciting, passionate, wonderful things that we can create as a humanity, they can be done by the people who want to do those sorts of things. We also have this new thing happening where small is the new big. We see that little businesses go out and steal clients from big businesses. So when I talk to companies like Accenture or Deloitte or banks or investment companies, they say that one of the problems they're facing is that they have these little teams of 5 or 6 people who are working together on a project who all get talking at the bar one night and say, actually, why don't we all quit and go start a business and go in competition with our employer? And that's really crazy because all through the Industrial Revolution, it was never possible that you could do something like that. There's no way that the factory workers at Ford could say, let's go off and start our own car company, right? That would just be impossible. But today we live in a world where small companies are actually more efficient, more dynamic, more exciting than big companies. So small becomes the new big. And we also live in a time where personal brand has become a massive valuable commodity that was never really a valuable commodity for many people over the Industrial Revolution. So there were very few people in the Industrial Revolution who had a personal brand. Very few, there were the celebrities and a few leaders who had a personal brand. And yet today, personal brand equity is something all of us need to be thinking about. We discover that people who make a silly mistake during their teenage years, it can cost them jobs 5 years and 10 years down the track because of photos that appear if you Google them today. We find that a business person who makes a stupid mistake and does something opportunistic and stupid today may cost them business for the next 5 to 10 years if that sort of thing ends up on Google. So personal brand equity is actually one of the most valuable commodities people need to think about. And if you get it right, it's actually probably one of the most valuable assets that you could build. So what I want to do is today I want to share with you how you would build that asset. My belief is that income follows assets. I got told that by a friend called Darren Sherlaw, and Darren said, first you build an asset and then you make lots of income as a result of having that asset. First you build a building and then you can rent that building. First you build a brand or a personality profile, and then that actually helps you earn a lot of income. So I want to share with you how to build that asset and why to build that asset. So first of all, let's look at why you would build that asset.
speaking at the Wannabe Entrepreneur Extravaganza last April. And you see he talks about the free economy, he talks about personal branding as an asset. And in the next week, so the second part of the interview, he's going to talk about how you can take advantage of that and his process to become a key person of influence. So some great information there, and you can catch the recording of that after the broadcast here today. So now we've got the second part of the interview with Tim, and Tim's going to talk about the royal flush of content marketing. All right, welcome back, Tim. Great. Nice cup of tea?
Yeah, it's very nice.
Fantastic, great. So the first part of the interview, we talked about what content marketing is, why and the how, and how it can position a company and an individual in a great space. But it's all about strategy. It's all very well having great content and putting it out there, but strategy is key. And you talk about the royal flush.
Yeah, five elements of content marketing that all need to work together.
Right.
It's the best hand you can have, basically.
It's the best hand you can have. So what's 10? What's the 10 in the royal flush?
10,
That's number one, by the way.
Number one, yeah, your 10 card is branding. Now, we've spoken about branding. The modern world is all about branding. People recognise things by their colours, by the logo, but also by the font, so that maybe they're just the typeface that a company we use will immediately be able to pick them out, that's the company that you're dealing with. It's important that your branding is the same across every platform, every bit of content that you're creating, so that people can immediately identify it without actually having to read that it's from you, but also if it's someone that hasn't come across you before, that they know that it's from you. So if you're doing an infographic, as we spoke about earlier on, you need to make sure that it's got your website URL on there so that they can find you. So if they like what they've seen in the infographic, that they can go and find out a bit more about you and see if you've created any more infographics, or if you're the sort of business that they want to do business with.
Right, and that's consistent. We had Sammy Blundell on last week from Brand Brains. He too talks about the importance of branding and strategy. And in that video just now from Daniel Priestley, he talked about personal branding. So I can see how that links up, because if your brand isn't consistent, the content's going to be all over the shop.
Yeah. Your content needs to all come from present the same message, really, and the same. We talk about voice and personality a lot in content marketing, and that's key with branding. So you may have maybe different people within your team creating your infographics from the people that are doing your tweets.
Yeah.
But you need to make sure that there's the same voice. So if you are maybe a law firm, you need to have decided from the outset, this is part of the strategy. You need to know where you're going and what you're building. You need to decide from the outset whether you're going to be a chatty sort of law firm, or whether you're going to be very authoritative and come across as the person to respect, but do it very, very, very straight.
And just on that, you used to be a solicitor. I know I wanted to ask Tim about your background. So before we go into the four, you used to be a solicitor.
That was always when I was growing up. That was always what I was intending to do, but ended up taking a year out before going to university. Learnt to do radio by splicing tape using Chinograph. Pencils and razor blades, and putting together a lot of radio packages, and worked as a freelance journalist while I was doing my law degree. Masters in investigative journalism, so door knocking and various bits. Bits and pieces like that. It's not as exciting as it first sounds.
Right. Okay.
Then went off and did 7 years as a high street solicitor. But the lure of journalism and creating content was just too good.
And that's where your blood is.
That's where I am now. Yeah. And it means that you can have a bit of fun and have a job at the same time. Great.
Okay. So it's a very background there in terms of creating content. So the 10 in the royal flush is branding. What's the jack?
The jack, that's your distribution. So there's various. We've spoken about various channels, online, offline. Whether that's traditional marketing or digital marketing, you need to make sure that you've got the channels right. So you need to, whatever you're creating needs to be seen. So you need to make sure that you're hitting wherever your potential audience is.
Right.
So if you're the guys that you want to do new business with are on Facebook, you need to make sure that you're sending out your messages on Facebook, but in the right way. How are those people using Facebook? Are they engaging in a certain way? Do they maybe just use it at a certain point of day? You can use scheduling tools. We spoke about Buffer App and Hootsuite. You can schedule to send your posts at certain parts of the day, which are more likely to engage with these people. So that's all part of your distribution. You need to get your timing right, where you're sending it, and making sure you're hitting the right people. And that can be using social media, or it can be email, or it can be sending out letters. It could be.
So it's not just about creating content and then just like vomiting it out there. It's about having a strategy and knowing where your market sits and how you talk to them.
It's so key, because you need to understand where you want to be going before you even start creating the content, because otherwise you're just going to be scattergun or just not hitting the right people.
Okay, so the first two keys in content marketing is getting your branding right, your consistent branding, and what your distribution channels are, and understanding which channels are best to hit your own markets. Yeah, great. Yeah. So what's the queen? So you've got 10 Jack. What's the queen?
Queen, well, people often say that content is king, but actually content's queen.
Okay.
Because it's important, but it's not quite the king.
Right.
And content is everything that you're creating. So that's your offering of audio, video, your words. We spoke about images.
Yeah.
We spoke about design, your layout.
Yeah.
Just everything that people are going to come across that's to do with your business.
Right. Okay.
And that could even be a news story. And if there is you're sending out a press release or something like that about your business, just make sure that it's got all the relevant details so that they can find you, your website, your contact details, even your Twitter address. People will look up and try and engage with you. It's a way of making sure that your message is getting out across the channels.
Okay.
But that content just needs to be quality. So it's all well and good, we can, I say, spend 15 minutes every night and create some content. It's no good just picking the first URL that comes to you and then sharing that.
Yeah.
You need to make sure that it's going to be relevant to your audience, to the people that are out there. But it doesn't necessarily have to be relevant to your business. You've spoken about Arena Flowers, the online florist. They're sending out content that isn't necessarily relevant to floristry, but it's relevant to people that they're dealing with, and it's relevant to the conversation that they're trying to create.
So it's understanding what kind of content will engage your audience as well.
It
might be, some industries, although it's good to create a variety, audio, visual, words, but some industries might prefer a different type of content.
Well, it's obviously like the traditional professions, your accountants, your solicitors are going to be more likely opposed to dancing horses that Free used in their mobile adverts. But there are ways of using exciting content to engage with audiences, and you have to look at your existing audience, the customers that you've already got, because they're very difficult. You want to retain them, but you also want to be looking at how you can pick up some new customers and people beyond your current sort of limits.
Right. So number one, so 10 is branding, the Jack is distribution, and Queen is content, content, right? So that in terms of understanding strategy. So what's the king?
The king is your customer. That's your audience, the people that you're trying to do business with. Because you can have lovely branding. You can have everything in the same colour, same font, everything like that. You can get that across every single social media platform. Send out nice emails. Do nice radio ads, and you can have some really funky, intelligent, witty messages going out in your content. But if you don't understand the customer or the person that you want to be your customer, then you're not going to hit the right spot, and you're not going to gain any business from it. And at the end of the day, if you're spending money, spending time, you need to make sure that you're going to be getting some new customers in from it. So you need to understand your customer. So as I spoke about understanding how they use the channels, you need to understand what they engage with, and you need to look at what their pain points are. So if they've got a problem, if you can solve that with a little bit of content, so maybe give them 5 top tips on doing certain things that are relevant to your business, or maybe some products or something that you can solve a pain point for them. So that's a great way of engaging with them and getting them to understand what your brand's about, but also you become that wise old owl that they want to engage with, trust. It gives you authority.
I think that goes back to some traditional industries, let's say to solicitors or accountants or something, where I might think, well, I don't want to give them the information that will solve their problem because they won't buy my services, but it positions them in a place where they're more trustworthy and they're more likely to get some business.
It's a very competitive marketplace out there. The digital era means that you're competing with not people that are just around the corner from you, you're competing with people across the globe. So you need to prove that you can solve the problem rather than just obviously your competitors can solve the problem as well, but
Yeah.
if you're the first one that they come across that said, actually, I can solve this problem, this is, this is how you could do it, but come to us for the full backup.
Yeah, but this goes back to the branding. If you're branded right and you can position yourself in solving the problem, it's not a question of the others do it. You are positioning yourself as you can do it the best for them.
Yeah, and that actually then comes on to the ace card in the Raw Flush.
So let's just, before we go to the flush where you're going to win all the money. So you got branding, distribution, content, and what was the last one?
Customer.
And customer. So what's the ace?
It's being unique. Your uniqueness is the one that will make you stand out from your competitors. So that could be unique content. So you could be the first one that's done an infographic in your local area about changes in the law. Yeah. Or changes, new tax changes or new benefit changes, if that sort of area, or maybe there's a new product that
or a new online TV channel.
A new online,
maybe.
If you can stand out, if you can get your branding right, your flashes, your wipes, and using the fonts, so people associate you with being standing out from the competition. That's key, and that's how you go viral as well. So there's lots of people. Charlie Bit My Finger, the young kid where it's gone viral. Millions and millions of people have watched it. Loads of people have recorded their kids.
So is it about just being unique, or what other things need to be present for something to go viral? What sort of tactics you use for your clients?
Well, to go viral, it's all about being clever and getting inside the consumer's mind. You'll see that the best viral campaigns are something that trigger an emotion within the customer. So
the recent one was the ice bucket challenge. So that went viral. What was it about that thing that allowed it to go across the globe? What are the things that we could learn as businesses that we can take from that challenge that we could apply to our content?
I think the key is that was trying to embrace everybody and make people become a star. So that's why it was so big with celebrities, because it enabled people to shine. But also you became part of the group and that fear of missing out thing. So it's a big thing on the internet. People like to know that they're part of something what's bigger. Going on. What's going on, and not being the person that's missing out. But you need that uniqueness, and that could be the USPs of your business if that's what you're trying to get across to go viral. So you may have the first robotic, I don't know, or tea urn that also makes toast or something like that. If you can get that message out, then that shows to your customers, potential customers, that you're unique. But you need that ability to humanise what you're doing, so that people will engage with you and see you as a brand that they can trust and want to do business with.
Okay, I think that uniqueness, sometimes being too close to your own company, you can't see that, and that's where you need professionals like yourself.
Well, that's where we
spoke to, and Sammy last week as well, in terms of sitting from outside and saying, actually, this is what's different about you, and how we can and utilise it and create content to get that to the marketplace.
Like you'd use a lawyer to come in and do your legal stuff. There are elements that people can do themselves. But if you bring in a professional, you boost your efficiency and the range of experiences and knowledge, and you've got a better chance of being successful with it. Now,
just really quickly, your company's called Jibber Jabber. Where's the name come from, Jibber Jabber?
I have to give that to Caroline, my business partner. It's all about creating conversations and building up.
So your strapline is about creating content that creates conversations. That's
all about. We want to be the heart of the conversation and creating those things that people are talking about, whether that's in the playground, in the pub, or online.
Okay, great. So do you have a website? If people want to get in contact with you, what's the website?
Best way to contact us is www.jibberjabberpods.com.
Jibberjabberpods. Okay, great. We'll put that on the content for the website, so you'll get the website there. So that's great. And so I know you do a lot around podcasts. That's one of your things. That you do.
Podcasts. Audio is a big thing because people have to concentrate on what's in their ears. Whereas you'll see certainly TV has changed, where people use an iPad or a tablet and smartphone, and they're doing other things while they're watching TV. It's second screen stuff. Whereas audio, you'll tend to listen to what's in your ears. So we find a great way of getting a client's message out is either as a wraparound sponsor and some other unique content that they like to be involved with, or even just getting their brand messages about things that they're doing within the community or wider field.
Great, great, great. So there's some really great information there. I think, you know, what I've learned from there is content is good. You can create great content, and we often talk about content as king or content as queen in this show. But the strategy, you can have lots of content out there, but if you don't have the strategy to make it work for you, your ROI is going to be quite low. And that's the key about thing. One thing I haven't talked about, how do someone measure ROI? Is it all about the strategy?
It's, well, yeah, if you have a strategy, then to have a strategy, you have to have an end goal. And at least if you've got an end goal, you can work backwards then as to what you might need to measure. An ROI of content marketing is difficult because there's so many elements. So we'd always look at the specific elements that you're creating, and then you can look at maybe the social media platforms as to how many retweets and various things you're getting. But it's building and measuring that engagement. So you're looking at different metrics that you can use there.
Great, great. Well, some fascinating information there from Tim talking about content marketing and weight. So thank you so much.
Thank you,
really
sir.
great. So jibberjabberpods.com is the website, so you can get more information about Tim. And great. So that's Tim on content marketing, and thank you very much. Cheers.
Thank you.
So yeah, that's Tim on content marketing. So you see, there's lots of information out there about how you create content. Now, it doesn't matter what industry you're part of, whether you're a so-called traditional industry like accountancy or solicitor, or even a florist, compared to the new age industries in, you know, the graphic designers, the coaches of this world, and content marketing. Content marketing is key because it positions you as an expert. So that's great. And speaking about content marketing, next week's guest is Sarah Arrow, and she from Sark Media, and she's specifically going to talk about blogging. So how you blog, what you should blog about, and how frequent. But most importantly, she's also going to talk about how you can monetize your blog. It's all very well, you know, creating lots of blogs, and where it's mainly written blogs, but how can you create a business out there? How can you monetize that? So we've got Sarah Arrow next week talking about that. So we had a full show today. Thanks to Tim earlier to talking about content marketing. Thank you for Daniel Priestley, who spoke at the Wannabe event. So don't forget, next week we're going to show you part 2 of his talk, where he's going to talk about how you actually take advantage of this world around entrepreneurship. And as I mentioned before, the next Wannabe event is going to be on January the 16th, and we'll put the details of the website later on. So that's it for today. Hope you've enjoyed the show. Just under an hour, which is great. And again, look, if you've got any comments or any questions about the show, please tweet in using the hashtag EntTv. We'd love to hear what you're about. You know, this is a new channel. We've got some great ideas, and we really want to make this somewhere where you as a new entrepreneur, you as a up-and-coming businessman, come and get your information and able to help and grow your business. So from me, Baiju, and from Dave, the production team from Silver Island, I hope you have a great week and a successful week, and I'll see you next Monday. Take care. Bye-bye.